So I like to think that I'm like definitely a French, executing chef. And that's like the way I like to do things.
So you moved down to Florida,
Right.
you finished, you do school,
Right.
and you said you were down there for a total of 5 years.
Correct. Right. Right.
And at some point, you moved to New York.
Yeah. It's
What
crazy.
what was that about?
Man, the New York trip, I think it was because I was always supposed to be here, I really believe that. And I think a lot of my peers would say the same because it is the epicenter of art. If not in the country, the world. So we all kind of get attracted here in one form or the other. Um, and again, like I said, I'd never visited before. And then again, my entry to Florida was almost the same here. I had a friend that was here that had an open room that I had been in contact with that was like, I think New York, would look good on you. And I was like, okay, I've been in Florida for 5 years. Let's check it out. And I came up, and then it was just home really, and naturally when I came. And so when I got here, I really was driven in the culinary world. Although I was still making artwork, I kind of came here with that as my kind of stability was cooking in restaurants. So I was able to do that and make the work for like actually 10 years living here. Um, so yeah,
How did the cooking start?
the cooking actually started when I was in Florida.
Out of necessity?
Necessity for sure, for needing a job at the time. And the necessity was, I wanted to work and do something that wasn't so like didn't hold so much responsibility. So I'd went in and gotten a job as a dishwasher, in a restaurant. Which, by the way, a dishwasher comes with a lot of responsibility. But then from there, I kind of just there's an old ladder effect, that they call in the industry, and it's like that where maybe you start as a dishwasher, and then it came to like maybe a chef comes to you and asks you to maybe do some prepping. They want you to possibly peel some potatoes or something. You start peeling the potatoes, and then maybe you grow a liking. They see that you kind of have like the skill to do a prep, and then it just kind of moves up. You start to learn to use a knife. You start to learn the lingo, and before you know it, you're trapped. So and for me as like already creative, there was so much artistic and structure within the culinary world that it was very easy for me to really like, dive into.
Did you have a particular type of food that you
Yeah.
specialized in?
Yeah, I mean, specializing, I kind of came up and had a lot of my mentors were French trained. So I like to think that I'm like definitely a French, executing chef. And that's like the way I like to do things. And that comes with like very, just like a sustainable, clean, you're very like persistent in what you're doing. And you're just really being careful. And that's just like art. It becomes like something that the more and more time you put in, the better you get at it. And the more it, builds with you as your person. And you become and have kind of like your own kind of lane, you develop your own signature style in a sense.
As time is going on and you're living in New York,
Right.
you you have a son.
Right,
You told
right,
me about
right.
you had a son.
Yeah, yeah.
And are you still doing art at this time?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'd always been doing art, right? To find the times were difficult because in the culinary world, when I first moved here, the first 2 years, I was doing like 80-hour weeks. So I had a really tough time to find the time to paint. And it's also stressful. Within those years that I worked as a chef here, it was rated like the second most stressful job to have within the city. So there were a lot of things, and there's a lot of outside stresses that come with it as well. So I had to really find the time, but then it was just perfect because it allowed me to have all those stresses relieved through the work. Yeah, in a meditative kind of sense. So it was good for that part.